it was like a full straight. I was like, I'll give him half a straight and I'll bomb across. But then it blew out so quick. Holy
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the freshest crits of Melbourne. We're back at the church. This is the second week. Glenvale's been back. Crits are back. And once again, we're on board with the great man, Jenson Plowright, as he launches another attack off the gun. You see Mosby looking behind. He's desperately trying to hold the wheel of the big ploughman. This is 2 times in a row that he's launched an attack off the gun. So, let's be honest, probably the peloton should have been wise enough to it. But no. Welcome back, guys, to another episode. It's great to have everyone back again. Please, if you're new here, we do crit videos. We look at crits videos. We throw a basic analysis, power, heart rate, all that kind of stuff, and I try to make up what's going on during the race. If you like this stuff, please subscribe. It does help the channel. Hit that like button, all that kind of stuff. And if you see yourself, leave a comment below. Now, all right, should we discuss the race a little bit more in detail? So in the top right-hand corner, you see a rear camera, and you can see 4 guys trying to bridge across. Is right here, Ryland narrowly misses a bird flying through his spokes, it looks like. So there's 4 guys trying to bridge across in that rear cam, and right now they're doing it whilst they're pushing into a headwind. So like any time when you're riding, you want to make sure you're on the wheel and catching as much draft as possible. And it's at this moment where Jensen calls out to, as he goes past Ryland here, he says, hey, let's wait up for these guys. Let's help get them slow down a little bit, back the pace off, allow them to come onto the wheel, because look, at the end of the day, 6 guys rolling is better than 2. So let's see if they actually did wait up, and let's see if they did bridge across. So the group of 4 dig deep and make it across, and probably no doubt due to James Bull's constant positive reinforcement within the Pello. So we've got 2 guys from Rosetta. We've got James Bull there, the other Rosetta, and blue and white stripes. Not sure who you are, so please comment below with names. I'd love to hear from you. And they've worked really, really hard to bridge across, because at the end of the day, Jensen and Mosby had a good, decent gap. So bridging across there was a pretty good call, although it is very, very early in the race. Now, it's all well and good to bridge across and make it, and it's also very impressive that not only have they bridged across this huge effort, but they've gone straight to the front, they've shown their confidence in the break, and they're really driving the pace. As you see Mosby starting to dangle a little bit off the back there. He's looking behind, questions are raised. He's asking questions of himself, I think, right now, so he's still a little bit not sure if, this group's going to make it. And does he pull through here? It doesn't look like it. So a lot of questions being asked of this group. They're already starting to fatigue. They're looking around a lot, which is very, very questionable. So I guess, in this sort of situation, there needs to be a lot more positive reinforcement going in. Let's drive the pace. Let's keep the pace above 45. Let's keep pushing those pedals, keep that chain tight to make sure that you can give yourself the best opportunity to stay away. So we skipped ahead a couple of minutes now, and we can see D grade, I believe. We're just passing them, and Jensen has just ripped a full lap solo and effectively shelled the group behind him, shelled the guys that were joining him. You can see James Bull there trying to hang on to the wheel as well. He's obviously identified that this break, it needs to either go or we sit up and wait, and he's like, look, I'm going to have another crack. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, so he's going to make the most of every sort of opportunity that's going around. So he just keeps driving the pace and gets nice and aero. However, when do you finally call it quits? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. And the longer you wait on this question, the more matches you're burning for the end of the race. So let's skip a little bit ahead to see how this one plays out. So unfortunately for the 6 riders that were up the road, as you can see in the rear cam here, the group's been caught, unfortunately. And Jensen basically sits up, relaxes, lets a couple of riders roll through so he can get a bit of a draft and a sit. and has to look to reevaluate his options moving forward. So I guess the smart thing here is he's always staying near the front of the race. If there's anything too threatening gets up the road, he's in a situation where he can shut it down. But obviously you're mindful of your fitness levels because you want to fall back and kind of recover. So, it's just one of those things, is where to position yourself in the field. If there's good guys at the front, making sure you're keeping a good eye on them and not falling back too far in the bunch. Okay, we skipped ahead a few more laps, 5 minutes into the clip. Jensen's got the heart rate back down. We've got Mosby up the road a little bit there, and also Paul Speed, who's been off the front now for a while, and no one really cares to see what's going on there, and he's a slippery little guy. So Jensen moves slowly up to the front, jams it down a gear, and steps on it, and absolutely launches a big attack, over 1,000 watts, breezes past this rider here. He has no chance of trying to stay on. We've got another rider doing whatever he possibly can to try to jump onto his wheel. That's me looking hopeless, got no chance being able to shut that one down. Ryland's cooked because he's been working too hard in the early part of the clip. And Jensen's already established a gap very, very quickly there. This rider here, I believe, might have had a mechanical, and he's dipped back, or maybe he's been off the front. I shouldn't just judge there. So yeah, now onto the front straight, right into that headwind, getting nice and aero, trying to keep way out of the wind as you possibly can. So with him, a gap nicely established here. And you can actually see Geordie in the rear cam putting in a huge effort to bridge across. All of a sudden, this little group of riders here with Jensen and Geordie, this is a very, very threatening bunch. And there you can see Speedy up the road looking real slippery. He's also a breakaway specialist. Stay tuned. There might be another video coming with that, how to get in breakaways by Paul Speed. This could be a really tidy group that could work really well together. And has a really good chance to be able to stay away as Geordie comes to rip a turn. So we'll skip a little bit further forward and break down what's going on. So you can see Speedy up the road. He's been doing work for several minutes off the front, getting nice and aero on his 10 centimeter handlebars, super aero setup. And what's really interesting about this is the communication that Jensen and the rest of the guys have with the peloton. And here's a bit of a clip here.
Save your bickies. Relax.
So you can see there, as Jensen rode past Speedy, he's like, save your bickies and relax. And I can guarantee you, Paul Speed goes, mate, if I was any more relaxed right now, I would be asleep. I do this when I'm sleeping. So... no, but in all seriousness, it is wise words from JP. He wants everybody to work really cohesively. We don't need to absolutely rinse ourselves off the front. You've established a really nice break. Now it's just about going for distance. And we're going to look at some other little clips where there's communication within this trio of where that's the case as he rips another turn on the straight into the wind. And then once again, you can see D-grade up the road there just to make that left-hand turn. So... let's skip a little bit ahead and we'll pick it up there. Okay, so by this stage, the boys have been out there for about 8 minutes. Speedy's been out there for a little bit longer, let's say 10 to 12. And the average power so far from these guys, you're looking at around almost 400 watts Jensen's been putting out. Maybe a little bit less, to be fair. So with that in mind, the legs must be burning. The lungs are absolutely on fire. So there's no doubt that when JP rolls past Geordie, he asks the question.
How you going? All right, not too bad.
So that little conversation there between JP and Geordie raises a couple of questions. Is it meaning that the guys just want to back the pace off a touch, ride some tempo, knowing full well that there's at least 40 minutes to go in this race? Or is it that Jensen's on the limit, ticking over to 187 beats a minute, and he just needs to dial the pace back if he's to go the distance? So, look, it's a really hard one. I think most of us have been in this situation. What do you normally do? Do you chat to the bunch? Do you try to encourage them? Well, you're about to find out what JP does. Take a listen.
We'll probably back it off a smidge, just go for the distance because we've got 40 minutes to go.
And look, I don't blame him, and he's probably not wrong. To really hit it home, he says this.
So we'll just pile it back a little bit, and we've got 40 minutes to go.
So for those kids who were born and played 90s video games, I'm strictly referring to Wolfenstein 3D versus the Nazis when the character's all beaten up and he's bleeding. That's how I imagine Jensen is feeling right now. He's in a world of hurt. Speedy's just flicked him through to pull another turn in the headwind. He's definitely doing it tough today. So look, enough of that. Let's skip a little bit further ahead in the race and see how the big JP gets out of this one. So we've now skipped ahead 10 minutes since we've last spoken, and you can see in the rear cam now the brake is finally about to be caught. But you see Geordie and Speedy just still tapping away. They're not happy to be swallowed up in the bunch. Jensen's more than happy to sit up after all that work. Here's his power data. 20 minutes, average power 360 watts. Man, that's bloody impressive. So sure enough, he sits up, he grabs a drink, he gets on top of that nutrition as well, rolls to the back of the bunch, reassesses the situation, and then he goes again from there. So that's the break, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there's me struggling at the back. That's the break, ladies and gentlemen. It's a brutal place to be when you are on the limit. So let's skip a little bit further ahead in the race and see where it goes from there. So after 6 minutes, Jensen nearly finds himself with the front windshield of a Nissan Pulsar parked on the right-hand side. Pat Lane giving him absolute buckets because Jensen reckons he doesn't give himself enough room there. All a bit of fun and banter. The pace has been really low. Everyone's been kind of sitting up, but there's a little bit of colluding going on.
We'll give him a bit of a gap and then we'll go across.
So we just all heard that one. Give him a little bit of a gap and we'll just go across to them like it's the easiest thing you would do all day. Well, let's just remember that because I'm sure you remember the intro of this clip. And if you didn't see the intro, well, whilst you're there, make sure you do like and subscribe. So a little bit of colluding going on between JP and the guy in green next to him, Oliver's Racing, is there is a bunch of 5 that's up the road. They've got a little bit of a gap. And as you can see, Rob Young just rolling off the front there. So easy. So there's a bit of a gap up the road. So it's a threatening break, and Jensen wants to be a part of it. So we'll skip a little bit further ahead and see how he does it.
You ready to go? All right. Yep. Go on, Bentley.
They've caught the rest of the group napping, and that's half the thing. When the pace is low, you know at the back of your mind that it's not going to be low forever as he screams past Ryan, the other guy on Rosetta. It is on. The rest of the group is doing whatever they can. There's a whole bunch of scrambling to try to chase on to the boys' wheels because they think, we think at 15 Ks left in this race, this could be the one move that sticks and everyone wants to be a part of it. So, look, let's roll ahead a little bit further. As you can see, the whole peloton strung out. We'll roll ahead a little bit further on and we'll pick up to see where this one goes. We've got a decent-sized group and a threatening-sized group that have gone with Jensen and been able to stick with the move. But are we going to see a few riders starting to get dropped as the legs start getting heavy? There's a lot of rocking and rolling. Hips are starting to move as you know, we're so deep into the race. You can already see Rylan, his shoulders are absolutely shaking. But we've got this guy, number 33 on the Merida bike. I'm not too sure of the name, so if you do know who he is, please comment below. It ends up just being Jensen and him. Pulling turns, working really, really hard to get across to this break. And the funny thing is about this attack, well, funny for me right now, but not so funny for JP in the mix, that it actually takes them 3 laps to get across. And it's not just 3 easy laps, it's all out efforts to get across. And I think both of them definitely know this as well. And just to make sure that the Merida rider's on the same page as JP, he says this.
We have to get there.
This is it. This is the one. This is the make or break move for the boys. Let's see if they can get across. 1.5 laps later, full gas, 192 beats a minute. they finally get across. The Merida rider is obviously struggling to get across, but absolute mammoth effort to do that. So effectively, those two guys have been trying to chase this breakdown for 3 laps. And I'm going to ask the question to you guys. When it comes to wanting to chase a breakdown like this, do you prefer to do it in, pace yourself and sit just above threshold and just power across? Or do you like to get it done quickly and go full send and just go at all out effort to get across? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, what do you think the best strategy is to get across? Do you base it on distance? Do you base it on effort? Time of the race? Leave your comments below. All right, so back to the race. They've made it across. They're cooked. There's spit all over Jensen's stem. He's bleeding out of the eyeballs. The Doom guy, you know what I'm talking about, bleeding as well. Absolute shambles. A mess everywhere. What do they do now? They just sit in, recover. They try to get their heart rate down. They've established the break. This is the move that's going to stick in the race. I don't see this one being brought back at all. Now it's time for a bit of recovery for the guys that have gone across. Speedy's in the mix too. Let's skip a little bit further ahead once everyone's kind of settled down. And we can pick it up with, let's say, 3 to go. 10 minutes later, you'll see on the left-hand side, the race commissaire is holding up 3 laps to go. The sideline, everybody is animated. The music is pumping. Everyone's excited. Somebody in this group of 6, I believe, will win this bike race. Who will it be? The question that I guess the group is asking themselves is, yes, this is the one that sticks. No one needs to look around. The peloton's not going to be chasing this one. Peloton's going to have a bunch sprint between themselves. It's when do riders start missing turns here? And this is another question for the guys that are watching this video. How many laps left do you start foxing? I know there's a couple of you out there who would have already stopped pulling turns. No questions, no names to be spoken here. But what do you do in this situation? 3 laps to go. Do you sit in? Do you look real tired and pull a Carapaz and look like you're absolutely cooked and then bang, attack them with, 2 laps left if you're not a full sprinter type? Or do you back yourself in a sprint and launch it in the final straight? So comment below. We'll skip a little bit further ahead and pick it up where a little bit more foxing and a little bit more action takes place. As the boys roll through for the uncharacteristically late bell, they all know it is on from here, and you can see there are riders spanned all across the road here. Jensen gets a bit more fluid in, and now the real foxing again begins. So before this, there have been a lot of missed turns. Everyone's missing a turn. No one wants to come through, and that's fair enough because when you have someone of Jensen's ability, the last thing you want him to do is be sitting right at the back, ready to open up a little bit of a gap and launch one. So right now we've got Rob Young ripping a really nice tempo, trying his very best to split up the group. But look, it's probably not going to happen. Everyone's animated. This is a last-ditch effort for the rest of the riders. With Jensen sitting, second last wheel right now. He's pretty much primed to hit the next corner with a whole bunch of speed and absolute bury the throttle, pin that foot to the throttle, and light it up. So he comes around the corner. He gets so low that you can't even see in front of you. That's how aero he is. He launches an absolute massive sprint, dipping almost over 1,400 watts, posts up to the line, and takes out another victory at the church. So huge effort to everyone involved. The guy on the Merida bike, massive effort to go with Jensen on that break. What a race. That's another one. So he's done it, one in a bunchy. He's now done it again in bridging across to a break. What can't the man do? Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for next week because we're going to have some more footage of the great JP. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Does me a lot of favors. If you see yourself in the vid, comment below. Love hearing your thoughts. And I'm going to see you all hopefully next week. Stay tuned. Ciao.